Are you suffering from low back pain as soon as you wake up in the morning? Join us today as we talk about ways to change that and set you up to win the day. Hi guys, Dr. Steward, chiropractor here from Adelaide, Australia. Today we're talking about this series we're calling A Life in the Day of Low Back Pain. So dealing with low back pain that you might be suffering from go to woe, from when you wake up to when you go to bed. Developing strategies so you can look after yourself, so you can own the day and stop suffering from that low back pain. So today we're talking about just that first thing in the morning. I'm waking up, my back is stiff and sore and aching. The classic one we hear about all the time here. The guy running I've got to get up and I'm so slow. It hurts when I roll over. It hurts when I get out of bed. I've got to have a hot shower. That sort of stuff. That's what we're talking about today. So first we want to talk about is why does that happen? So there's a couple of little things at play here. So the first one being you're just immobile for a while. You haven't been moving. We've talked about this previously in our previous videos in regard to low back pain. Motion is lotion. So you've got now a period of immobility where you're not moving and then you're asking your body to start moving and loading. So that can be a great one, especially as you start getting into the colder months. So there's your first bit. So don't freak out when everything's a bit stiff and sore because that's what's happening. Yeah, so we're just starting to move again. But that can be compounded if you just don't do a lot in general. So if you're a gym junkie and you wake up the next day you're a bit sore, you don't freak out because things are a little bit sore because you've trained, you've worked out. But if you don't have a lot of motion, you don't have a lot of movement variability, and all you sort of do is go from I get up in the morning, I sit down at the breakfast table, I get in the car, I sit down at work, I come home and I sit down because I'm so tired from sitting down all day, then you don't have a lot of variability. So that becomes a factor. The other common factor when it comes to low back pain stuff is a really common cause of that is a disc injury. So we might have a little disc protrusion, a little disc herniation, and overnight that disc will swell. So the disc will get bigger as water rushes back into it. So you're always your tallest first thing in the morning. So if you've maybe got that little disc injury, that sensitive little structure, and it's a little niggly guy, and you wake up and you've got to move, it's the biggest one. And then those tissues that are around it, like ligaments and tendons and stuff that are maybe already a bit stressed and a bit sensitive because they're having to operate in this sort of altered environment, and then they get asked to move or a bigger surface area, that can be a cause of some more pain. This is the classic one when people go, it hurts as soon as I go to roll over in bed. It hurts when I go to sit up out of bed. So those are two of the factors that are playing a role. So how can we address that? So we've got a couple of guys that we can play with. First things first, what can we do sort of during the night to make things better? So the first thing we can do is we can do the old school classic trick where we're sleeping with a pillow maybe between our legs or under our knees. So that's a great place to start. But what that can do is that can just neutralize the pelvis a little bit and flatten the lumbar curve, which is not so much to say that the increased curve is always going to cause low back pain, but it can just be a little bit more comfortable of a sleeping position, and it means hopefully you're not waking up during the night because of pain. It means you get more sleep, more quality sleep, which is where we heal. It's rest and digest. So that's our first strategy. So you're going to be lying on your side for some people, or you're going to be lying on your back and you just have a pillow so underneath your knees, maybe it's underneath your ankles or your calves, whatever works for you. Try around some different positions. Maybe you're somebody that likes, say, a pregnancy style pillow or a Japanese body style pillow where you can just have something you hug the whole time. That's a great option too. So the second bit we're going to play with is what do we do when we get up? How can we set ourselves up for success in that regard? So there's a couple of different things and everyone's a little bit different. So if we've got maybe that little disky guy, some people love lying on their backs, and it's the old school knees to chest. So you can just bring your knees to your chest, lying down, holding one, holding the other, holding both. That can be a great option. See if you like that. Maybe a couple of the classic side to side, twist to twist. That's also another great classic. And you can do that in bed, but maybe you've got a partner and they don't like that. So that's a good one where you can do that maybe standing. You can do some standing knees to chest, standing, pulling to your chest, and some standing rotations, or you can go on the floor if that's not too uncomfortable for you. Tons of options there. Maybe you're the opposite though. Maybe you're a person who first thing in the morning doesn't like those things. So in that case, what we can do is we can do the opposite. and we can lie on our stomach, and that can be something where we just hang out in our guts and just sort of hang in that position. Maybe I've got my arms on a pillow, but I'm hanging in this slightly extended position. And then that would be the opposite, where maybe in that case, what we can do is start to move that. If there's that little disc herniation that's nice and big and plump, we're getting to start moving away from the back and more towards the front, getting that guy to be a little bit less angry. So there's your options there, where I could be a person where I bring my knees to my chest and hold them there, or I do the opposite and I lie on my stomach and I just rest. Maybe I even turn that into a couple like morning press ups, morning planks. So there's your first bit. Let's see if we can address that sensitivity around that tissue. Next one is avoiding picking the scab. So the way we do that is we try to avoid situations and repeated situations that would aggravate that discal material, that pierced off tissue in your low back. So the great ways to do that is I found is just using a little bit of active muscle control. So in this case, we use the brace, which is something we've talked about in a previous video, and the hip hinge. So we get ourselves sort of to the edge of the bed, and then when we go to stand up, instead of just being like, oh, just go stand up and you're really sad about it, we have a little bit of intention and we treat it like a squat. So I'm nice and tall, I'm looking where I'm gonna go, I'm tensing my abs, I'm tensing my side body, I'm getting my lats all engaged, and I'm pushing my feet into the ground and I'm standing up. So that can be an instance where I just use a little bit of stiffness, that stuff gets my low back, so a little bit extra tightness, so I get some juice, almost like I'm wearing the internal weightlifting belt or a work belt. Yep, and then I'm standing up and then I'm off I go. That could be a really good one, just like, oh, I just didn't pick the scab. I set the morning with a good intention, my brain hasn't gone, oh, here's another low back pain day, and then you can go on. And that same thing can apply if we need to bend over, pick some stuff up, seeing if we can use that hinge position we've talked about previously. Last one that's a great option, go for a walk. Just go for a walk. We find a lot of people with low back pain, the people who like it doesn't like when I bend over, they're a bit more extension people. They like being tall, they like going backwards. Walking is a great option. It can help decongest and de-stress the spine. You're getting some of that inflammatory stuff that's built up overnight. You can get that to settle down and flush that out with the motion of the spine that comes with walking. So a 5, 10, 20 minute walk, if you've got a dog, grab your dog, go for a walk, is a great option to help manage your low back pain first thing in the morning. Plus any other things that you like. A classic one is a hot shower. Standing in the shower, and you might find that's a great time to do some stretching sort of stuff. So there's a couple of really good options for you. So it's lying on your back, lying on your front, hanging out there, some nice stretchy stuff, some side to side stretches. That's great. We've got avoiding picking the scab by using the hip hinge and the ab brace to stand up and move through that range of motion with a bit of stiffness, so not to aggravate that tissue. And lastly, go for a walk. Get your body moving. Great options all around. So, like I said, this is a series, so we've just talked about first thing in the morning. Next, we're going to talk about what it's like when you're on your commute to work, stuck in the car. Join us next time. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.